Hey, DeAndre here, Fortitude USA. So we'll be resuming with videos on our vlog podcast channel, whatever you want right here. But coming real soon, in the next couple months, we will be coming back to in-person services, but we'll be transitioning from our initial home security installations to firearm safety training, which includes pistol training, rifle training, firearm cleaning and field stripping, as well as some other services. And we will be servicing right here in the Baltimore, Maryland area, and all the way out to our surrounding counties to improve the firearm education and safety. To make sure not that our homes are safe and secure, but also fortified, as well as ensuring that everyone in that household is practicing safety and security. Because one thing that we have to be aware of, this is America. There are more guns than there are people. And with that being known, banning guns will never be the solution to any violence. We cannot push off responsibility and acts of people on the items. If we did that, everything would be eliminated. Cars, steps, alcohol, trees. Like if we just put off responsibility on the items, we have to be accountable and the sole responsibility of our safety and security. And this is one thing I always tell everybody. But we're practicing self-sufficiency and autonomy in our lives. It still doesn't mean we don't collaborate and coordinate with others in our communities and the police. When you're ever facing a situation, yes, we always want to notify the proper legal channels. And one, for your safety, your family safety, as well as any legal liability that may arise. We always want to make sure we're coordinating with those channels. But to rely solely on it does a detriment to your safety as well as your family's safety. And that brings us into the 4Ds of our home protection plan, a home security plan, a home defense plan. There are 4Ds, and the first one is deterrence. Whenever we can, we want to deter a threat from even happening in the first place. And while our focus here is home defense, this also expands out to the real world as well too. So when we deter a threat, deterrence will vary, or each one of these steps will vary based on your home, your family size, your home layout, everybody's capabilities, and that's what we'll work one-on-one with you to come up with your own plan. And I'll share some of the tips of mine. I can't give you the full game because they'll defeat the whole purpose and the prevention plan. But number one, deterrence. So when we talk about deterring a threat, they could be from either signage, high fences, which essentially translate into low visibility for would be thieves. Security cameras, whether they're functional or not, suggested functional, can also be a deterrent. Other signs like beware of dog signs. As you see right here, due to radicals ammunition, I will no longer be providing warning shots, even though warning shots for legality purposes aren't always suggested, but I would double check with your local laws. But just signage in general can be a deterrent from any threats. Next, detection. So detection, you want to be able to detect the threat to see if it's an actual threat or if it's a false alarm. So detection, as it says in the name, so we take us back to the first step with the cameras. Cameras are a good way of detection, as well as sensors. So I know a lot of people have some kind of security system. If you don't, we will be bringing that service back to Fortitude USA real soon. But detection. So cameras is one. Sensors are a great one. I always suggest having a couple sensors. Dogs are a good quality early warning system if they're properly trained. Now these aren't a defense solution in a whole, but they are a good detection solution. And there are other ones too. Like, how do I want to word it? Depending on the layout of your home, detection can even be having good quality visibility no matter where you're at. So it can work as a two-way street for this next concept, but like an open concept home, but with low outdoor visibility through the windows. But if you have open concept, you can be able to see consistently throughout the home, versus having the older configurations like it is here, where you really can't tell what is lurking behind every door, which can be a hindrance but it can be an advantage too, as long as you know the layout of your home. But detection is the second one, and mind you, that's it. All of these steps are if the previous one failed. So if somebody avoids the deterrence and still proceeds into burglarizing or invading or criminalizing your home, that's when detection step sets in. Now, in the same breath with detection, the detection wants to be able to alert you and alert the person that they're being detected, because you don't want to just be able to detect them and they still proceed to do what they're doing. We also want to at least give them a signal that they are being detected. If they proceed, then we move on to the next step, which is why the dogs are going, because not only will they notify you once a bird, whoever hears the dog barking, it can be a good deterrence in the detection step, as well as the cameras that automate that you are now being recorded and so forth, which is a good one. But if somebody proceeds still, then we move on to our following step, which is directing. Now, directing is a three-pronged step in itself. And at this point, once your threat has been detected, this next step, you need to start implementing the other protocols. Now, if you confirm that it is a threat, this is one. I always advise directing family first into a safe area. If they know the plan, direct them to start implementing the plan. Then the other one is I want to direct the intruder to either leave the premises or face the following consequences. And lethality will vary person to person, whether depending on what stage you're on, and the use of force case scenario can vary. But I want to direct them that they are no longer, well, they were never allowed on this property, that they are trespassing, and that they might be met with lethal force if they proceed. So, and then the third one is direction to the police. So, in my home defense plan, me and my wife coordinate, and this is if we're both home together. Her part of her goal is to direct authorities that an intrusion is happening, and then I will also state very loudly and clearly that if they do proceed, they might be met with lethal force, and we don't want to. And I say it's incriminating because we have a castle doctrine, but we want to be very fine-tuned with our language. Be able to give them enough information of where the threat is happening. If you have a visual of the intruder on the camera, you can have the wife provide that to the or whether the directing person provide that to the authorities while on the phone. And this is so one to limit liability and any mishaps that may arise. Because when authorities come and police come to any situation, the first thing their goal is to neutralize the threat. Before they even clear up stories and all of that, they want to make sure that everybody disarmed, that they're coming into a safe environment. But they already have a clear description of who the threat is and the scenario. It makes it easier on everybody's behalf. So like I said, this is a three-part step. So me my setup is really one way in, unless somebody is making a concise effort to break through the other entry points. Which, if they do that, then um, I would feel very unfortunate for them. But the other main entry point, I have a clear line of sight from my bedroom. Um, well, actually, all entry points, I can see it clearly from my bedroom. But we use all those cameras as well to get a clear description. Because when you're looking down, you might not be able to see somebody's face straight away. So with those front cameras, I can get a clear description of their face if it's not covered, of the apparel, of what they've got on, and whatnot. But like I said, this is all in cohesion movements, if equal. Now, the deeper sleep, of course, certain things can be more of a hindrance, and that's why we want those early warning systems so we can be properly prepared. Now, in this same step, like I said, we want to start preparing and implementing. So, I had several weapons throughout the house. Not all are firearms, not all are lethal, but they keep me prepared for most situations along when I'm in the house. Even though I always my concealed carry or my everyday carry, it stays on me almost anywhere I go in the house. Even when I'm showering, it is there because most attacks happen within the home. And people, of course, we want to feel the most comfortable and relaxed, but it's also we need to be the most prepared because in your home it is a limited environment. It's limited engagement, and we think because when we're out and about in society that all these other people can be threats to us, which they can be, but they also can sometimes be assets in your safety as well too. Because not only can they help deter would-be criminals, they can also provide other assistance, whether that may be calling authorities, disarming the assailant, restraining the assailant, and a bunch of among other assets. But when you're in your home, it is solely you, your family, the intruder, and your plan. So this is what we prepare for, and that takes us to our fourth step, which is defense. Now, like I said, the lethal case of force will vary state to state, plan to plan, implement to implement. But like I said, here we have lethal force, we have non-lethal force, and that's also, like I said, once I can assess the threat. But now in my bedroom, and because we have kids in the house, of course, all firearms that are not on my person are tucked away in a safe, which everybody in the house knows how to use them functionally. Now, under hostage situations, of course, it's hard to. Everybody becomes different under stress, which is why we prepare though. But the main two, me and my wife, like, and it's clear directions, and my goal and our defense plan is to, if the threat assists, meet the threat where it's at, and if we want to limit their movements to a fatal funnel and address them there, or get them out of the house in general. While my wife makes sure that the kids are secure and that any other would-be threat will be stopped there. But like I said, this is a cohesion plan that has been communicated between the both of us, and it might look different to you. Now, in a defense strategy as well too. Now, everybody isn't a fan of firearms. Everybody can't utilize firearms. There are non-lethal options. Now, I do want to be very mindful about these options, which is why our first three steps come into play first, so we can don't have to get to the lethality point of it. But I want everybody. I sleep more at peace knowing that actually safe versus feeling safe. When I have the ability to actually physically ensure that my family is safe. I don't know about anybody else, but I sleep better at night. Sure, the uh, emergency notifications from the security systems that might instantly dial the police once the alarm is set, and all that is fine and dandy. But we also know too that too many false alarms, they start charging you as well too. So everything has its pros, its cons, its ups, its downs, its left, its right. But we want to be aware and mindful of all of this. Now, I'll get into the self-defense plans outside of the home, um, and we'll relay some information from some of our other uh, leaders in the firearm industry. Because, like I said, our goal is not just uh, lethal force, shoot, kill. That is never the goal. The goal is to protect you, your family, your community, and our freedom, our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the cohesion of what makes America great, not the other things that we may deem as American, but our actual ability to be free, to protect our liberty, or fight for our liberty, and know at night that as long as your liberty isn't intrusion on somebody else's rights and liberties, that you should be able to practice and live your life how you want. Now, if somebody's living or practicing is intrusion, and of course that comes to different levels, that's when the boundaries are being crossed, and then that's a whole different topic. And it doesn't have to be people. This can be law enforcement. We can see with military, because at the end of the day, these are titles given by the government, but the people ultimately get their authority from the governed. So with that being said, these are still people at the end of the day. The people in the uniform, these first responders, the troops, all of them are still people and citizens of our great country. We have to be mindful of this. While many don a title, people still are humans. As much as we're taught to keep our emotions out of our job and leave it at the door, and to essentially code switch and separate ourselves from reality, because this is reality, and we're taught to separate ourselves from reality to function in a job and perform well. The reality is, it doesn't work like that. Everybody's human and at fault to different emotions, situations, instant decision making, responding and reacting. These are instant actions, which we have to be mindful of in the moment. And like I said, just because people wear this title and some go through more rigorous training and qualifications and vetting, they're still people. And our goal here at Fortitude USA is to understand that yes, they are still people, and which can be good and bad. Some can be empathetic, put themselves in your shoes, and they want you to be safe and secure, and they want you to be able to defend your family, and they want to ensure that when they get to that home, that some innocent people aren't harmed. And then we have the flip side, where you have people that do get power hungry, just make rash decisions in the moment. They come to a situation with the biases and the cognitive, I won't say cognitive dissonance, but the lack of understanding, and I won't say empathy either, but just the inability to fully address the entire situation for what it is, because we come in life with we don't come in life with biases, but we grow these biases throughout our lives, and it affects our decision making for the better or worse. So we don't want to put everybody's sole responsibility in the hands of a select few, because they still have to function and show that their own family is safe and secure, and that they make it home from their job every day back to the families in one piece. And I feel like this is a concern for any person, especially here in America or any place for that matter. Everybody wants to get home to the family in one piece and then know when they're in there with the family that they can sleep in peace. So, like I said, that coordination is and cohesion is paramount. Like I said, because it isn't limited by your uniform or badge. So when we take some of that weight and responsibility off of the others and take it ourselves, we allow them to focus on their jobs a lot more better and easier, and remove the, how do I want to say it, I want to say these stereotypes, but the worry or the, and we work in cohesion. So like I said, we all people end of the day, whether it's citizens, law enforcement, military, the politician, the doctor, the accountant, the teacher, the firearm instructor, the carpenter, the biochemist. At the end of the day, we're all people that make up this society, and part of the economic outcome is dependent on the cooperation of all of these parts interacting with each other. But if each of us can help ensure that each function is running smoothly and efficiently, not just in the workplace, but in the home itself as well too. Because to make a strong country, we need strong cities and communities. And to make strong cities and communities, we need strong families. And for those strong families, we need to ensure that our people are strong, that they're moving in wisdom as well as integrity. But we want to move in wisdom. We want to move in wisdom, because intelligence is knowing. Wisdom is acting on that knowledge, or not acting on that knowledge. So when we move in wisdom, we move with the knowledge that we have and understanding. And when we live a more self-sufficient, a more productive life, well, like I said, it looks different, family, person to person. But when we can move like this, we become a better asset, not to only our families, but our communities and our countries as well too. And it might seem far-fetched, or some might not get the full concept of it, because it looks like we're taking away the responsibilities and the jobs and the data of the different protection agency or defense agencies, or people that are supposed to keep communities safe, and let them do their job. And that's why it's a collaboration effort. But you have to remember that when this country was founded, it was founded for the people, by the people, not for the other way around, not for the people for the government. Because when we say America first, we think a lot of people distort the concept of America first, and that we should bow down and worship the government and pledge allegiance to whatever the person that was put in place says so. Or if you don't align with it, that it's not America. But no, America first means people first. It's always meant that. It means that people have the final say. And while we put elected officials in place to help represent us, because we all can't be everywhere all at once, and we do our best to elect people that will make good decisions on our behalf, we start the decision processes at the home. So, sorry for getting off on the political tangent and whatnot. But I just want y'all to get the concept why this is so important to us here at Fortitude USA. Why the self-sufficiency, the home defense, fortifying your mind, fortifying your body, fortifying your spirit, and emotional intelligence is key, because this makes for a strong and fortified USA. So, hope I didn't lose anybody in the concept. My next video, I will be going over some of my carry options. I have my everyday carry that we'll be covering, the Hellcat, and then my personal home defense gun, the Glock 19X. I'm gonna go over. I got about 1,500 rounds in the 19X. A little less in the Hellcat. The Glock is just more fun to shoot. And then my other one, mechanic, which I love to death, but I'll probably do that in the review video. But I will go over why that was my first gun purchase and why she sat in the club, in the safe. Yeah, don't be wrong. We got a lot more rounds down range, but I don't practice with these guns sufficiently. But I try not to put too much wear and tear on, because these are for worst case scenarios. But we'll go over the review of how they've performed within those rounds. And I can say that the Glocks, it does what it's supposed to do. Now, I'm glad that y'all are sitting here and be able to follow us on this journey going forward. We might be looking at another everyday carry, switch out from the Hellcat. I don't know. I'll take recommendations. But I thank y'all for tuning here at Fortitude USA. I'll see y'all in the next video. And once we get the licensing and everything done, I'll be posting the times and dates of our safety trainings and all our experiences coming in after that. But we're in there with stay safe, stay secure, stay fortified, and I'll see you on the next one.